Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christian with PerfectStockAlert.com, a 100% free service for smart investors and traders. All we ask in return, please refer a friend. Today is Friday, May 24th, 2013. As we do on most Fridays, I go over all the major markets I track for you at PerfectStockAlert.com, our free website there. There's 19 of them, so I'll be going over all those so you guys know everything that I know moving into the week ahead. And there's basically the overall story you have to understand is that the markets have been primed for a massive move lower, and that is either just begun or it's fixing to, and I'll try to explain that in a minute. Looking at Australia's market, you can see that we're already begun this sell up here. I've talked about this in the past when we were setting this scenario up. This is not a hammer candlestick formation at the bottom, meaning it's not a strong bottom. Same thing was formed here. No strong hammer candlestick formation, therefore not a strong bottom. Therefore, I would expect this to take this level out ultimately. Keep that in mind when I use the word ultimately. Using the overall chart formation, we were able to get a short at this point here, or start selling at this point here, and then we continued that formation on the shooting star to follow it here as well. Again, gave us an entry opportunity there. We've simply taken the stop loss limit that was here and we advanced it to here. So we'll keep an eye on this. I'm locking in some gain here. I've been losing a little bit of money here and there on attempting to get short various markets, and so I'm just trying to recoup some of that right now. The market is selling off here. You've not even begun to see the kind of sell-off that I'm anticipating in the market, so don't think you've missed some great opportunity. What I would be looking for in this particular situation, if you get that in the next week, which I expect sometime next week, you'll get some kind of bounce. Look for that bounce to give you another one of these shooting star scenarios and confirmation, and then you'll be able to get short again. Remember, a downtrend is a lower series of highs, lower series of lows, and it's something that we're going to be looking for. But right now, I wouldn't be chasing this market. You pull back down here below the 30 line, the ultimate oscillator. Again, that's where you typically get your bounces. So that's for something I'd be waiting for a good entry opportunity if you're not already short there. Looking now at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you see that we are still very resilient here and not breaking down. Great sell signal here. Well, we got confirmation the following day, so you can be shorting here, but this is a stop loss limit up off the high, and we're still seeing consolidation here, and that can't happen unless you have some buy pressure there. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for. I prefer we'd see some kind of a bounce in this market for the next week, maybe roll over, maybe flat, something that keeps me in this range here, and then we actually start to break down and pick up speed to the downside. I don't really want to break down just yet, but that's just me because I'm trying to put more trades on the burner. But overall, I can't tell you that we couldn't break down Tuesday. Remember, U.S. markets are closed on Monday for Memorial Day, so that's another reason why you saw some weakness today and not a lot of move to the upside. People didn't want to be buying into this kind of a quagmire of a market looking at a 3-day weekend in their face. So there's some hesitation by traders, but they can still push this market higher. If they do, that's fine with me. Remember, this market is overextended. If you continue to move higher, you don't improve the situation, you make it worse. So again, I would be looking for sell opportunities here. Looking now at the French CAC 40 index, you can see a massive gap from this high point here down to here. This is something that would also bode well for calling for another bounce to the upside before we actually peak for a couple of reasons. First being that you don't have a shooting star off the top here. You do have a hanging man candlestick formation, which is another sell signal, but you've had those before here as well, so there's no reason to say that this one had to be the very top either. But basically, when you gap down like that, you typically backfill these. So you see today's activity at a higher high than the previous day. That would make sense if you just kind of do this number to backfill, get a nice shooting star signal, something like that we could use, and then expect the crash. That's what I'm hoping for. You could just as easily turn around and just continue to make this move lower. So don't be long in any way, shape, or form in these global markets, but I do be looking for short entry opportunities. Again, if you watched last night's market analysis video where I showed you the longer term, you understand when the ultimate oscillator gets up there close to the 90 line, how important that is. Again, if you were to come up here and even make a new high, you would just be forming a bearish divergence where the high points or the closes would be higher, but the downtrend line here would be developing, of course. So it's important to note that you would just be looking for it in a short opportunity here. Looking now at the MIB or the Milan index, you can see that we've basically said you can start selling this scenario here. You had the shooting star formation or similar to it, followed by confirmation the following day. Then at the same time, you still have that gap above you from this point here down here. So this can also fill, but that's why I can stop up off the high point here, and I'll be watching this. If we get some kind of a bounce, that's fine. Look for a shooting star. That's what you should be finding. Typically, when you have a run up like this, and then you don't get a shooting star, then you start to break down, you'll get a follow through that'll come back up here, form the shooting star, and roll over like you saw with Australia's market. So keep an eye out for that. Looking now at the German DAX composite, the same overall basic story, only this one has gotten a massive move to the upside. We talked about the 12 days in a row to the upside back when this formation was going on. The day before it actually gapped down. This is not a sustainable move here, and you have never pulled back and tested it. So a move down here would just be in a normal scenario from a technical perspective, but if you get some kind of bad news out of Japan's interest rate or something of that nature, you can see this thing start to break down substantially and move much, much faster to the downside, taking out the low points as well. Remember, when the interest rates start to move despite Fed activity, start to rise despite what the Fed's doing globally, you create a whole new problem, and it would actually be really poor for the European financial situation over there. If interest rates just started to rise, that would be harsh on different governments out there who are trying to sell bonds at reasonable rates, right? So keep an eye on what's going on over there in Japan and as well as interest rates globally. Quick glance here at gold. Nothing really going on for the past few days. We've had this massive downtrend, which is still in effect. A lower series of highs, lower series of lows. We've pulled back down here, and before taking out this level, which is the level that I'm watching, if we get it closed below that level, the downward move here will accelerate, and you will be able to make a lot of money on the sell side here. Right now, we've just seen this kind of consolidation pattern, kind of kicking, moving sideways here, but we haven't made any breakout move here. If this was a true bottom, you would expect to see that move here to give you some kind of you start to see some buy pressure overtaking sell pressure. We're not seeing that right now. So all we're doing is moving sideways. Keep an eye on it. It can do a lot of different things in this scenario. I'm already marked it as a short, something you would want to be selling here. Those of you who didn't want to or do not want to risk the potential for a bounce up here and retest this 50-period moving average, this red line right here, which is typically where your best entry opportunities are for the short side. You head back here or over here, then that's fine. Take your stop loss on it, advance it down here so that I would lock in some gain. That would take you out of the risk scenario and allow you to take a profit. That's fine. Just trade it however you want to. I get a lot of questions on how would you do this, how would you do that. I'll give you my technical perspective. That's all I'm trying to do here. If you're not sophisticated enough to determine for yourself how you should trade it, then you need to continue to educate yourself. That's the most important thing. Whenever you're trading, you're betting someone else is wrong. The only way for you to be right on that scenario more than wrong would be to know more than the trader on the other side of the table from you, right? So be sure that you spend a lot of time studying. I mean, I'm constantly reading, and when I'm finished with that, I read some more. There's no end to becoming a good trader or a good investor. You're constantly trying to improve your repertoire. Looking now at the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index, a big move to the upside here. We didn't ever get involved in this sell side here. You come up here, you don't get a shooting star signal. We pull back down, we bounce up, take out the highs. We don't get a shooting star signal. We come down, take out the low. I would expect a test of this high. We've also got the little bit of a hammer candlestick formation here, not exactly a hammer, but similar. Off the 50-period moving average, that would make sense to see another bounce here. However, if you fail to take out that high, which I expect you would in the current market environment, and you form a shooting star, you start to roll over, I want to sell that for multiple reasons. Of course, you'd have the sell opportunity, but you would also have the formation of a head and shoulders pattern developing with a neckline sloping down in this nature. This would show a bigger move to the downside at that breakout point, would be putting you down here below this 200 period moving average and be testing this low down here again. So that's all important information there. Again, I wouldn't be long this market. The India Bombay Stock Exchange, this is one we did take advantage of on the short side. We've got the shooting star off the high. Confirmation the following day. We set the stop here, and we'll continue to do that. If you are concerned with the bounce at this point in time, simply advance your stop, lock in the gain, and look for a new entry opportunity. Right now, she's not bouncing off the 50-period moving average, so I'm not all that concerned with it. We could see another shakeout day down here, then bounce up here, and form just another head and shoulders formation that we were talking about on the Hong Kong Hang Seng. You'd see on the BSE as well. Looking now at the EWJ, the Japan iShares, this one, again, same scenario. If you look at the long-term chart that I showed you on Thursday's market analysis video, you haven't actually broken the major uptrend. You are very weak here. This is definitely troubling for the markets. You massive gap from this point here all the way down to a high point here. I would expect some of that to fill, but again, it depends on what happens with those interest rates that we're watching in Japan. Keep an eye on that scenario. It's poor. What I would like to see here, and this is just what I'd like to see, and what I would say in a normal environment we'd more likely see, because of the size of this gap here, I would expect to start to to trend up in this direction, probably in a very weak manner. You may have some kind of a bearish formation or bearish flag formation, something like that. If I got a shooting star, I would use that as an entry opportunity once I had confirmation and set my stop off the high here, and then start to look for this to break down. But that's assuming a lot that continues to see some development and some poor structural happenings on the technicals and some fundamentals and so on and so on. So keep an eye on it. Right now, again, if you were buying any of this time period, you got owned. That basically got wiped out. Everything you traded for the past month, the upside, is just now underwater. So we've been warning and warning that the same thing is happening globally. It's not a sustainable situation. You'll see that when she broke down, there was no buy pressure, just quickly down here. What happened to that great rally that everyone was talking about, the great bull market? It just disappeared overnight. That's what's problematic about these markets, is that when you have just computers and Fed manipulation, as soon as some question of the Fed's ability to maintain that comes into play, immediately everybody wants out. So again, this is not something I would be buying, but definitely look for an entry opportunity on the short side, given the right technicals. And for me, I don't want to sell here with all this risk on the table. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would like to see either we start to break down, then you could make a case for that, or if you start to come back up here testing and failing the previous high, then that would make more sense. You should remember, whenever you're looking at a scenario like this, there's a lot of people who are buying this rally. So all of this activity that you had for this situation, you had people buying it up. Then we have this gap down when now they're all holding it back. So when you start to move back up here, if you can move back up into this area, you have all these people who are now saying, maybe I should just get out. Maybe I'm wrong. That's going to keep sell pressure on this market, and that's why I wouldn't expect to take out this high. Looking quickly at the FTSE, London Financial Times Index, basic same overall story. We're already selling on this position. We get a bounce here, that would be fine, but I wouldn't expect to take out this high. The main thing here, high point here, a little bit lower high here, trending down on momentum, and then again, the same time period, you can see that we were price activity just continued to close higher. Bearish divergence telling you look for a sell-off, and that's what happens. We get bounce back up in this level. You're not going to take out this high. It's bouncing off just shy of the 90, so you're just going to form another bearish divergence. Look for another short entry opportunity if you're not already there. Again, on a lot of these charts, the FTSE being one of them, you'll notice there's no hammer candlestick formation at the bottom here or here. These are not strong bottoms, and they will be taken out eventually, so keep that in mind. This is a great setup to see that happen, so there's potential here for a massive move lower. Quick look here at the NASDAQ. This is an obvious setup for overextension here. We never tested the low. It was a lower low than we'd seen before. There's no hammer candlestick formation at this point here or this point here. They're not strong bottoms. All of this tells me to look for a test of this 200 period moving average. It's just a matter of the when. Right now we're still seeing a lot of the buy pressure in here. That's why you haven't sold off for the past couple of days. That's fine with me. I want to see another bounce to give me an opportunity to get short here. We've missed these opportunities because you had the signals, but no confirmation, signal but no confirmation, and then we start to move lower here. I want to see another bounce here personally, but it doesn't mean I have to have it. You could just easily say this is the first leg down, and now all we're doing here is just a little tight trading range here, and we're going to break out the downside. That's possible too. So keep an eye on it. If you're already short, great for you. If not, then you're like me and you're waiting for an entry opportunity, which means I'd like to see another bounce with another shooting star, confirmation followed, and so forth and so on. Looking now at the XOI oil index, this is one we have a position on, anticipating a pullback with the global markets because simply we would have a reduction in consumption there. But it doesn't. It's not my favorite trade of the group. So again, if I was looking for something, I've already talked about it for the past couple of days. I'm more interested in certain charts than others. But this is one. If you're already short, keep a tight stop on off the high. If you get a bounce here, you could easily be taken out because you don't have a shooting star at the top, so it could not. You could easily just come here and get stopped out, and that's why one reason why it's not my favorite trade here. Quick glance now at the UUP, the U.S. Bullish Dollar Index Fund. This one we've already been stopped out of. We made some money on it. The upside, that's great. We used that money to cover the losses that we've had from trying to entry opportunities that didn't work out for us very well. If you look at the longer term chart, you'll notice that there's really not a lot of upside still there. We're starting to get some bearish divergence and formation, so I don't want to try to re-enter at this point in time. Keep an eye on it for other setups, but right now I'm just happy to have made that profit and we'll walk away. Looking now at the Russell 2000 Small Cap Index, as you guys know, this is something that I really want to short here. Looking at the IWM, I'll be using options on that. Multiple reasons. Number one, with options, I can determine the exact amount that I'm going to lose on the trade if it goes against me, because you cannot lose more than you make on the trade. And then, of course, with the options, you don't have to actually hit the very day that you think is going to be the peak. You can buy some time on your options and allow for some very different setups. But right now, looking at this chart again, it's very troubling here with the massive gaps here, low volume gaps, and rather large size here. We have another one here, and then this one's already filled, but there's several still below you. I expect a test of this low down here just as an easy scenario, but I would still like to see this continue to bounce here. Just give us a test of the previous high, form a nice clear shooting star signal. I expect you'll get that just from this activity right here. And you'll notice this scenario, I've pointed out before, whenever you chart to travel to the upside in a bounce at this particular angle, this kind of a slope on that line, it's just a bull trap, and it's basically an opportunity to get short. So I'm hoping for that to continue. It could take a week or so before we actually saw that high, just based on the previous candlestick sizes and how long it takes them to travel a certain distance. So just come up here, test the previous high, having the 4-day trading activity next week, stuff like that. So you could be another week in the making, maybe a week and a half or two, and then I could see a breakdown there. That would make a lot of sense to me. Of course, that could just be wishful thinking as well, because I really, really want to put that short on. But the overall scenario here, you could just easily break down like that. Looking at the SPX, or the S&P 500 Large Cap Index, another great short opportunity here. We already got the confirmation and the entry opportunity here based on the shooting star confirmation following period. Start to stay a little bounce here, that would be fine. Just give you opportunity to get short. The stop is set off the high 1 cent above the all-time high there on the price activity. So I'll be watching this. Again, note the strong volume on the sell side versus the movement that we've seen to the upside. There is still some buy pressure here. We've seen this from the hammer candlestick formations finding support at the middle Bollinger Band line right here. So there's still buyers in this market, but that can disappear really quick. So keep in mind that the U.S. markets are the ones, especially the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, are the ones that have been putting the biggest amount of fight in this market. When the markets do finally break, they will give as well, but they're going to take some proof before they finally give it up. So there's an opportunity here, but it's just not where I'm focusing. If we move on down, look a little bit more on the chart, you can see the actual crossover. The MACD has already turned bearish here, which will be also timing, another timing tool for a lot of traders to call the top. And this is, again, an area where I would expect to find one. Quick glance here at the silver chart. Basically the same thing as gold. Everything I said about gold I could say about silver, so there's nothing new to add here. If you're trading gold, you're probably trading silver, and if you're not trading gold, you may be trading silver because it's cheaper. Either way, it's the same trade. Quick glance here at the Toronto Stock Exchange, the TSX, same basic trade you've got with a lot of other places. You have this low point here, massive bounce, test the previous high, come up here, get a shooting star signal, form bearish divergence, all kinds of nasty signals here, and we get confirmation the following day. Stop set off the high, 1 cent above that, and we'll be looking for this to break down or break out. And in the case, if we get a breakout, then that's fine, we'll get stopped out. But otherwise, I'd be looking for, if the global markets break, so will this. Looking quickly at the VIX, or the volatility index, which runs the inverse, the opposite of the S&P 500. There's really not a lot you can glean here. There's a move happening here that makes sense, taking out the previous high, so that's important. The close didn't take out the previous high, and that's also something to note here. You're seeing weakness on the price activity of the VIX. It shouldn't be as dramatic as it is here. You should actually have closed higher than this point. How do I know that? If we move up here, you can see the high point here on the ultimate oscillator, and then the higher high here. This ultimate oscillator is based off of the closing prices of each day. So you should have seen a close higher than this. You haven't done that. What that typically indicates to you is that in fact there is going to be a close higher than that point. So you should be looking for this pullback here is to be short-lived, and then higher here again, which would be bull market scenario here on the VIX, and of course a bear market on the SPX. We basically confirm what I'm looking for. A little pullback in the VIX would be equal to a little rally in the S&P before the actual breakdown actually comes into play, and at which point in time you'd see the VIX actually rally. Looking now at the Wilshire 4500, this one again, much like the Russell 2000 Small Cap Index, same basic overall story. We don't see anything that's really bullish about this condition. We expect a big pullback to come. It's just a matter of timing it. With the high point here, anything that's happened since then has just been a lower high, and that's all bearish divergence formation, telling you that all of this is going to be erased, and so this rally is not sustainable. So we'll be looking for the entry opportunity on the short side here. A little bounce here next week would be great for short opportunities. In that case, if you would get a shooting star signal, be looking for that opportunity and then wait for confirmation and take advantage of it. In fact, I might even not wait for confirmation, just look for the shooting star instead of stop off the high and so forth and so on, and watch it start to break down. Because once he does break down, everybody realizes, oh, okay, we're breaking down. Globally, everyone's going to say, okay, sell. And once that happens, you're going to see a massive speed up of the sell pressure that's going on. We're not seeing that right now. That's why you're still getting shooting stars. So there's still some people wondering, oh, is this it, or you're going to go higher, or what? Keep an eye on it. It's obviously going weaker than it was back here. You had one down day and then continued to move the upside. Now we've had a few down days, and we're still wondering, are we going to go higher or what? So just try to get ahead of that curve. Whenever people realize the market's breaking down, it's going to be quick. If you've not been to the free website at perfectstockalert.com, it's right there. It's 100% free, and all we do every day is teach you what we know. And it's from the technical trade school, the fundamental school, the trade school. Also, if you go there, you can learn not just about technicals, but you can learn how to trade different setups. So that's important. And also, in the market section here, the market charts right here, my personal charts, I'm updated every single night, both the short term and long term, so that you guys know everything that I know constantly. Like, for example, I just updated it where I had advanced the stop loss limit on the Australian market, so you guys can see that just by looking at the chart. Okay, God bless, take care, enjoy your weekend. Remember, it's a 3-day weekend for those of us who are in the US, and be safe. Okay, please take a moment to review our disclaimer. The information provided herein is our opinion only. Under no circumstances do any statements here represent a recommendation to buy or sell securities or make any kind of an investment. You are responsible for your own due diligence. To summarize, we do not provide investment advice, nor do we make any claims or promises that any information here will lead to a profit, loss, or any other result. These videos are for educational purposes only.